Okay, so we are going to learn the start of finance, which is one of the chapter in your CA final SFM. Now, what is startup finance? We can understand very easily. Startup it generally means what infusion of money. Now, what we need when you are going to start any business, what we need that is the money itself. So, what money we used to invest when we are going to start any business, when we are going to conceptualize any idea into the reality, that is called as the what startup finance. Now, as we already know, whenever we are starting any startup, no one will be ready to invest in the such a startup. Why? It's obvious because we don't have the growth opportunities at the starting. We don't have any cash flow at the starting. So, how we can commit any person that yes, we will repay your funds? So, in that case, we need to analyze that from where we will need the sources, or where will the sources from where we'll get the money for the such investment. Now, first of all, this basic para, you should understand I have what we have marked here, that is which is very important. That points you should always write in the startup case. First of all, your definition, that is initial infusion of money into reality. Next we have is what bank will not be ready to give us the loans for that. Sure, why? It is very sure because we will not be able to repay in the beginning itself the interest payment, the installment payment. We can't commit to bank, so they will not be ready to. Next, we have to write what? So we need the money from somewhere else. From where? Family and friends. Because such family and friends will not be ready to just invest in your thinking like it is going to be visibility or feasibility of your business. They will invest because of only the first start. That you're going to start a business. Your first step. After that, we have is advice. Whenever you're going to start up, we need advice for any entrepreneur who has already gone to such a situation that he or she is like a builder or entrepreneur who's. After that, we have the strong financial plan. We need to have the strong financial plan as well as also our need to speed up the operation. If you not speed up the operation at the earliest stage, then we will not be able to commit the such kind of startup which is going to have a growth opportunities in the future. After this, some of the innovative ways to finance a startup. We will divide into three categories. First of all, personal. We can see that personal will come, the first 3 points related to the personal jagger, that is personal financing, personal credit lines, and family and friends. Now let's divide it into websites like peer-to-peer lending, crowdfunding. Next, divide into the other sources. Now, other sources are what? Simple, your customer, that is, it will have what? Purchase order financing, the supplier, vendor financing, or we can have factors like we can sell our receivers to our factors so that they will realize the money and they will give us the money in the beginning itself. So that is called as a factoring accounts receivable. And there are also others like micro loans. We can go and take the loans from some other individuals. So they are very small loans and at a small rate of interest. Now, pitch presentation. What do you mean by pitch presentation? A simple definition of the pitch presentation is simply whenever you're going to start your business or you want the investment from the investors, we need to give a brief idea for business that what is our business, what is the concept, what are the process, what is the problem, what is the solution we are going to raise. So with the brief idea, the same is called as a pitch presentation. Now such pitch presentation, as we know, simply it can be either electronically or it can be either here electronically or it can be manually, like face to face. Now first of all, I need to give the introduction that who am I, what I am going to tell you about which company, that is the case. Now after that, team introduction, that who is the behind this team, that is also necessary, like who are going to promote it, who are the promoters, who are the teams, because investors will be ready to invest in the company not only by seeing the company's perspective but also the promoters who are behind it. After this problem, now what is the problem, which problem we are going to solve it, and then its solution we have to give. Now after that, the marketing and sales. Now how do we sales and market our products? Okay, what is the advertising strategy and other promotional strategies? Projections or milestones, that is your statements. Whatever the statements we have, like the income statement, cash flow statement, or the balance sheet. The income statement you have to prepare whenever in the first year you have to prepare the quarterly or monthly. Now after we can go for your just annually. Competition is very important factor, because if you say the competition regarding the competition factors to your investor, then only they will be able to realize if you have any unique competence, if you have any unique advantage as compared to your competitors, then only you will be able to growth in the market itself. If you don't have, if you have the large number of competitors, then they will not be able to raise the money for such a concern. Why? Because they will be have the some kind of risk in it itself, that if some other competitor will raise over them, then what? Now after that is the business model. Business model simply what is the process you are performing, the way you are doing your business, that is a that should have some differentiation. Like in this book, if you will see that there is example when given. What is that example? This example is simply given that simple example is what you have the earlier it was what, like you have to physically collect that such the cassettes or videos when now there is a that is electronically available, so that electronically whatever you are updating your business models, your business process, that will be able to one create a complete and a unique kind of picture in your investors. After the financing, now what is the financing? Financing simply means he will say here ki whatever whether we have already announced any finance or not, and if we have already announced, then how we have reached the such finance. And if you are going to finance, it is also one thing here to analyze that the promoters are also going to invest, because if promoters will not invest, then the investor is also not ready to invest. It is the promoter. After the mode of financing for startup. Mode of financing for startup, first of all, bootstrapping. Now, what is the bootstrapping? Bootstrapping simply means one, that is he or she, will be called as a bootstrapper only when he builds up a building by his own finance, that is a personal finance, or by using the revenues generated from the such company itself. That is nowhere else. We are not raising money from somewhere else, but just by our own finance. One of the example is there is now where the ways of methods which a firm can start as a bootstrap. There is a trade credit. Now, what is a trade credit? Simply we can get the credit from our suppliers to whom we are purchasing the machines. Instead of paying them themselves, we can take the sum. We can give them the guarantee that we'll be able to pay the same हो जाएगा. For that, we need to have a strong financial plan. We need to communicate with them. So therefore, this communication skill should be strong होना चाहिए. Now, this you should realize one thing हो जाएगा in case of large business. If you are going to have your supplier is large one हो जाएगा, then you need to talk to CEO. Otherwise, you can go just with the owner. After there is the factoring. Now, what is the factoring? Factoring, you know it very well. If you have receivables, then you can sell your receivables to your factor. Now, this will be done only when the factor, the fees being paid to the factor is less than what the cost is being. That is the factoring which is less than the cost of incurring. Then you will go for the factor. Otherwise, no. Now, after there is leasing. Leasing simply means instead of purchasing the machines, you should go for the lease हो जाएगा, because it is very beneficial for same as a lessor can claim for the lease expense, as well as lessee can also claim for the depreciation, because instead of purchasing, if you will purchase, your money will be blocked. That working capital will be blocked in order to invest somewhere else. After that, we have is the angel investors. Now, angel investors are not nothing but the family and friends. If we are taking the money from our family and friends, because such family and friends will always be ready to invest in our business, whether it is a startup or any other kind of business, because they believe in ourselves, and therefore they will be ready to invest in our first step, not regarding the profitability or the visibility. After they have the venture capital funds. Now, venture capital funds is what there are some kind of funds who used to invest in the new kind of businesses if they saw that there is a growth potential in such kind of business. That is, it has opportunity, it can raise the funds, it has the. Now, after that, the two kind of funds is domestic funds and offshore funds. Domestic funds, by the name itself, it suggests that domestic fund that is being generated, that money is raised for the internally that is within the country. But offshore funds, that you are taking the money from the investors who are outside. Now, there are two kind of funds: offshore structure and unified structure. Offshore structure is kind of there where you are directly investing in the company, but unified structure, you are investing in trust in the India, and then that trust is investing in what your companies. Now, consider venture capital fund. We should decide the characteristics of the venture capital financing. Now, just divide it HEL. The short form of this is HEL. Now, how it is? High risk, go to HEL. When venture capital go to HEL, that is H. We have the L, and E. So it is a HEL, there is a high risk, equity participation, long term horizon, and lack of liquidity. Advantages of bringing VC into company. Now, just divide it into two areas. That is, you have first of all strong solid capital base we need. Now, risk and reward. Just do things solid capital base and risk. Now, after that is the advice and assistance and good networking. Now, we can go the another two processes, that is, it can go for the IPO and we can go for the what finance growth or the additional rounds of funding. That is the case. Okay, now we are going for the next stage of funding. Now, seed money startup, first round, second round, third round, and fourth round. Now, what is the seed money? Generally, the injection of idea. Startup means what? The startup means you are getting the money for your sales and marketing and product development. First round is what is sales and manufacturing. After that is a year. Next, we are coming to second round. Second round is what your working capital. Third round for expansion. Fourth round for bridge financing, that when you are living. Now, VC investment process. First of all, starting the deal origination. Now, what is the deal origination? Nothing but the origination of the deal, which is generally carried out with some of the chartered accountants who act as an agent. Here, the memorandum is prepared, which gives a focus on which kind of business the venture capital want, like the sector focus, promoter focus, turnover focus. After that, we have is a screening. Now, that will be screened by whom? The senior and the such venture capital fund. Now, after that, diligence will be carried by some outside parties, and the money of whom will be paid by the VC or by the such party itself. There is a company. Deal structuring is basically the structuring. The deal structure should be made in such a manner so that it will be the win-win situation for the both. Now, post-investment activity, whether the guidelines being framed by the such VC are being complied with such company or not. So that for that the post-investment activity being carried out. After that is the exit plan. Exit plan can be of two kinds. Whether you can go for the like strategic sale, that's secondary sale, or the such investors who have invested, that is a such a they will buy back their shares of their own. Now, Startup India initiative, just divide it into 6 points. 6 points to raise it. The Startup India is what? First of all, up to 5 years. After that, it does not exist turnover of 25 crores. No, not less, spreading up reconstruction. It should be a company, LLP or private firm ho jayega, and it should engage in the innovation, development or the deployment or commercialization of products, services or processes driven by the technology or the intellectual property. Now this is the chapter number 14, that is the Startup Financial Strategy Financial Management, that is Startup Finance.